Hello, I'm going to show you how I'm going to edit a small to medium-sized corporate video that's going to be about 2.5 minutes long or so, maybe 2 minutes, that has B-roll from a lot of stuff, interview shots, and music. So, first thing I do is I take all of the individual files that I have here nicely organized, and I throw everything onto the timeline. Okay, so there's all of my footage. I have just under 3 hours worth of stuff, and I have separated it all visually. So the next thing that I do is I do my selects. So I zoom into about 4 seconds in between my timeline, and that's a cool speed because I can scrub through and play it almost real time. And what I'm going to be doing is, of course, looking for good sections and good clean in outs. And when I find one, so this is a good spot right here. So I'm going to do a Control K and then another Control K, and then I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to drag it up a level. And this begins the organization of my B-roll. So I'm going to hold Shift and mouse up to make this big. I'm going to right click on this and then call this drone shots. And thus begins the categorization of all of my shots. So what I do is I comb through everything that I have here, all 2 hours and 50 minutes worth of stuff, and then I do the same process. And ultimately it ends up looking something like this. I've gone through my first chunk of drone footage here, and I've made a bunch of cuts and dragged up a bunch of clips up onto this level. And every clip, I did my best to try to keep it around 4 to 7 seconds or so, which is why I have my info panel tucked away down there. So I got a bunch of clips. The last clip here was pretty cool, so I renamed it and put a little star at the beginning of it, which helps me identify which clips are superior. And so now I'm going to drag a big old lasso around this thing. I'm going to hold Shift and then push Delete, which is going to ripple delete those clips, and then smash all these first drone clips together. I went ahead and cut the rest of the drone footage up, which came from the second source of clips. I'm still going to leave a good gap in between the two of them, so I know that they're from two different spots. And now I'm at different footage. I'm no longer at drone stuff. So I'm still going to do the same action. Well, first I'm going to mute this so I don't hear that awful sound when I'm scrubbing through. And I'm also going to not delete that B-roll audio. I'm going to hang on to that because I might use it later. And I also drag the audio track to be a little bit taller so I can see what sort of clips have really strong audio, and maybe I can identify any moments that have, loud bangs or something, or someone speaking. So I make those really big. So I'm still going to do my Control K and then Control K, get that swing up there, except this time I'm going to drag this clip up one additional level because it's not a drone shot, it's something else. I'm also going to hold Control and then scroll my mouse wheel so I can go up and down, which is something I did in the menu. And if I don't hold Control, then my mouse wheel scrolls left and right so I can move freely around the timeline. Right click and call you construction. Boom. I'm going to do it with this clip as well. Construction. Simcoe Street closed. And then drag my lasso, hold Shift, push Delete, and I'm getting pretty organized. Now that I'm working with my fourth section of clips here, which are definitely not either of those classifications, construction or drones, when I need to create a new video track, I can grab my clip and then drag it up into the non-track area and let go. And like, holy smokes, it jumps back to the bottom. But no worries, I'm going to hold Control and then scroll up and then see it created a new video track, to which I'm going to increase the scale or the size of it so I can right click and rename Control Center. And I imagine my next series of shots will also be control centers. So I'm going to follow along and do this process for the control center. So I tend to not watch any of my B-roll clips really, especially if it's just random shooting and I can tell that there's no audio in it. So I don't feel the need, nor do after I select the clip, do I need to look at the rest of this clip. I can just click and jump to the next clip here. And I'm also not doing, a super awesome job at picking my in-out points. These are really generic things that I'm doing. The idea is that I'm just shrinking the length of clips that I'm working with here. I want to turn all of these into maybe 2, 3, 4 seconds, or maybe longer if it's a Steadicam shot or something. Which is why I love this panel down here, so I can know if I'm taking clips that are too long, which I should not be doing. It's a nice abstract kind of texture shot there. So when I hit a really unique shot, I will rename it texture. I try to keep my shooting pretty tight, so I'm familiar with my own shooting style, which makes it easier to do this process. This is also a great reason to not shoot or start recording and then hunt for shots if you're doing event coverage, to know actually what you're shooting before you hit that record button. I don't even have to let go of the mouse button to hit Control K to do a cut. So cut. And so when you're zoomed into that same level, you get used to the size of the clip that you're doing. Oh, I'm getting kind of big here. It should be down to be about that size. A couple of retakes. Meh. So I know I'm not going to use every one of these shots on my edit. However, it's important for me to be able to have a lot of things to choose from. So things are moving along nicely, and I have created my 6th video track layer. And at this point, since I'm making them all kind of tall so I can rename them, I can't see video track 1 anymore. So you may feel like you have to scroll up and down to be able to move these clips, and having a tall timeline is a bad thing. Tall timelines are alright, because even though I'm still scrubbing through, zoomed into that same level, doing cut, I don't have to see video track 1 for me to be able to grab both of them at the same time. If I click and hold, I can still drag the clip up to video track 6. Then hold control, then oops, no, don't hold control, and advance. So during this process, you don't have to feel like you have to keep everything on just 3 video tracks so that you can see everything all at the same time. I've just finished going through one of the larger chunks of clips here and done my Control K to move everything up. And so now I'm going to drag my lasso around and then Shift Delete. And I'm going to full screen this and zoom in a little bit. And we can see that there are some imperfect steps here. And so we're going to want to fix that. So I'm going to do an insert edit by holding the Control button and clicking and holding, which gives me that nice big white line. And when I let go, it's going to slot that clip in there and then eliminate that gap. I'm going to do the same thing with this shot. And then with these as well. There, nice little tidy staircase. So there were lots of different sections within that clip there, or within that shoot day. So I'm up to 11 video tracks now, and still have a significant amount to go. So who knows how many I'm going to end up making. I've come to a spot now in my footage where I have some clips that have important audio in them. So I'm going to steal these clips, voiceover, and the H4n audio associated with this, cut it, and then move it over to my sound up sequence, which I have already made. I'm going to make that really tall. I'm going to make this really tall, and I'm going to stretch this one out too. So this is my voiceover. Hello, voiceover. I'm going to insert, edit, move that. And this is the sound up audio that is associated with that clip. I'm going to zoom all the way in and line those up with those two claps right there. Clap. Ta-da! So I have my sound ups isolated, and I'm not going to worry about those for right now. I'm going to go back to my B-roll clips and continue moving along with my selects that I've been doing. And you can see that I have made many different tracks now. I'm up to 14 different video tracks. But it makes a nice, neat staircase, which is going to allow me to be able to find whatever sort of clip that I am going to be looking for my edit. So almost done. Just a few more clips to go. I found another chunk of drone shots here later on in my sequence, but I want these shots to be over with these shots. So I'm going to drag a lasso around them, Control X the cut. I'm going to push home to put my cursor back home, and then I'm going to want to paste these clips on this line right here. I'm going to put my cursor there because that's where I want the grouping of clips to go. I'm going to deselect video track 1 and then select video track 2 because when you paste clips, it pastes it on the lowest number that you have selected. I'm going to hold Control, Shift, and then V to insert, paste those clips that I had selected, which puts them on the track, which makes sure that they are organized, which means I am almost done going through these clips. And there we go. All of the B-roll is cut up, taken down from just shy of 3 hours down into 21 minutes. You can full screen this action and see all this lovely staircase action. Not that it's chronological in how it was shot anyway. How they look on this page or on this sequence doesn't really matter in terms of order, but renaming things is a lovely idea. And I'm going to get rid of this video track that serves no purpose anymore. Bye-bye. Now that I have all of the B-roll cut up and organized, it's time to actually start building this thing. So I downloaded a song from audiojungle.net, and I downloaded the preview track, so it still has the watermark in it, but that's cool. So I'm going to throw this dude on the final video timeline here, which has nothing else in it. Those are some pretty hot waveforms there. I'm going to push G, and I'm going to take it down to about -4, just so that those the audio is not screaming at me. Got me a corporate song here. They all sound alike. Yeah. You know the kind. And then I'm going to go back to my sound up because this right here is the first thing that happens in my script. I am working off this. So this was given to me. It's got the audio stuff, which is the script that was read in voiceover form, plus the opening bit was read on camera. And I have some association visuals that I can match up with my audio. But I'm going to place all of the audio first, and then I am going to be playing with the video parts. I remember the last take that she did was pretty good. So I'm going to start around here. I'm going to use my cut tool. I'm going to hold shift so that it puts a cut through everything. And I'm going to play with my muted onboard microphone track and leaving just the H4n audio.
The Region of Durham Works Department provides essential services, many of which impact our daily lives.
Yeah, that's the first sentence of the script. So I'm going to cut that. I'm going to grab all of these. I'm going to cut them. I'm going to go back to my final video. And then I am going to paste them on it. But I don't want to overlap my audio track here. So I'm going to deselect track 1 so that my audio tracks paste on A1 and A2. I don't really need this track from the on-camera mic anymore. So I'm going to delete that because I held Alt and then clicked on it so I can not have them linked anymore. Get rid of you. Move that H4n audio up, hold shift, multi-select with the video track, and then right click and then go to link so that those two dudes are tied in together. So picking where the song, where my first voiceover is actually going to start, is totally dependent on the song itself. So I'm going to just listen to the song for like a second here and then decide by feel, but when I should actually hear this bit of sound up start. Generic visuals here, but I don't want it to linger too long. I don't want just visuals for 7 seconds. I'm going to be mindful about how long it takes before we actually need to get into the information here. So I think it's going to be shortly after the beginning of the song here. So around here, I'm going to hold Control and then click on the white line there to create 2 keyframes for the volume of the track. And then drag it down to about -16 or so, -16, -17, somewhere in that area. and then put my first sound up right at the beginning of that, or kind of in the middle of where those two keyframes are. Audio is looking kind of low, so I'm going to push G to bring up this audio gain. I should probably raise it by, I'm going to do 11. Much better now. So now the beginning of the video sounds like this.
The Region of Durham Works Department provides essential services, many of which impact our daily lives.
So the rest of the audio is coming from the voiceover that we did. So I don't need any more of this video because it was just for that one portion, so you're gone. And this section here is her voiceover track of the rest of this script. So I need to go through it because she did it a couple of times and do the same process when I am doing my selects and choosing sections of the audio that I want to be able to drag down to make the perfect voiceover. So that's the next step. Now I've gone through the voiceover doing the same technique, except these clips down here are the ones I want. So all these are garbage. Shift delete, get rid of you, drag a lasso around you, Control X, final video, and then let's paste you on audio track 2 as well. So this is the full read of the video. I am going to be pacing these audio, this voiceover a little bit to create spaces in between them where I need to, in case some of the B-roll audio can be of some significance in between some of these moments here. But ballpark speaking, I'm going to have to cut the song just a little bit shorter, which isn't too big of a deal, but we are definitely, we're on our way here. So now it's time to start copying and pasting clips from our B-roll sequence onto our final video. To start the video, I chose the slow-mo shot of the flag blowing in the wind, and then I listened to a sting in the music that had the sort of sounds that I'm going to put this title in for. I'm just putting a placeholder title in for the time being because I'm going to focus on building the sequence before I spend too much time working with this, because I may even scrap the idea of having a title here, so I don't want to put too much time into it.
The Region of Durham Works Department.
I've placed my first sound up, which was written in the script, which comes with this video bit, and so I put in a couple of keyframes here to make room for the audio from the microphone, so that it's not blurred by the audio from the song. So it's kind of going like this so far.
The Region of Durham Works Department provides essential services, many of which impact our daily lives. This is your Public Works Department.
So based on the script where she says, "This is your Public Works Department," I decided to spread out her voiceover and create a gap in between it. I did that because I don't want to choose a single shot to represent "This is your Public Works Department." I need a bunch of shots. So I'm going to have her say that, and then I have this gap in here where I keyframes the audio back up so that we listen to the song. And the song has this swell that develops and then has a change in instruments.
We're part of your daily review.
So shortly after the music changes, it's like adds in instruments, I drop the music again and start the voiceover all over again. So what I'm going to do next is look for B-roll shots that go in here that have good B-roll audio, because I don't want it to just be music playing in here, that represent the different public works departments. So it's time to start sifting through all these B-roll shots. And the more shots that you can carry in your head at the same time, the better you'll be at creating little mini sequences within your larger video. I was able to go through the B-roll collection and find an appropriate clip for representing each of the different days that I was filming. And while I was picking the B-roll clips, I was trying to be mindful of the direction of where your eye is going to be. So I'm trying to keep it right in the middle of the frame as I'm choosing shots. So I was putting shots in and trying them out, then moving them back and pasting back and forth. And so just gathering these clips here probably took me about 20 minutes or so, because I have to be really picky, especially at this hour or this minute, the second of the video, that these shots need to be really strong up front to get people's attention. So I have a push-in shot, and then a Steadicam shot with the person in the middle, and then I had another shot that continued the Steadicam motion in the same direction. And then the direction changes here, but I like how the guy and the cherry picker points to something and he's kind of pointing at the swinging arm of the construction piece. And then while your eye is over here now, that's in a spot for this dude here to kind of look up. And then I have a drone shot here, which is of course really generic and works well with generic parts of the script. I don't have any shots of first cup of coffee, and I don't want to sub one in, so I'm going to use a shot like this. And so bit by bit, right? I'm going to think about what sort of visuals I'm going to use for this piece, and then plan ahead probably for these next two pieces of voiceover, because I might want to make more gaps like I did before with these keyframes, or I may just want to kind of smash them all in there together and have no gaps in there. But I got to give it a listen and see if I need more space to be able to put shots in there. So that's it so far. I've placed the next sequence of shots here that match up with the audio from the voiceover. So this section here wasn't too challenging because the script is calling for very specific and literal things. I have some more text as a placeholder in there before I do any real graphic kind of stuff, just to make sure that I want it in there. And with that shot, just going to keep working on making the put more time down. And so I'm at a tricky phase now, and so after having so much voiceover here without any more emphasis on B-roll, I kind of feel like we should hear something else around this time other than a music lift or by putting the voiceover part just closer again. I feel like we need to pause from her voice to see other stuff and to hear other things. And so I'm going to retire the edit for the night and then address this again tomorrow, because I find it hard to do an entire video all in one go at it. So I need to look at it with fresh eyes. But I was able to get 38 seconds or so of the video done today in probably 3 hours or so while puttering on other things. So pick it back up again tomorrow, and then we will hopefully finish it tomorrow. But here is the progress that I was able to make in a handful of hours. Let's see what I got.
The Region of Durham Works Department provides essential services, many of which impact our daily lives. This is your Public Works Department. We're part of your daily routine, from that first cup of coffee to your commute around town. We build roads to keep you on the right path. Work staff are responsible for designing, building, and maintaining regional roads, bridges, and traffic signals to ensure residents can travel safely on foot, bicycle, transit, or car every day.
So that's it so far. So kind of feel like that there might be a spot to break up this voiceover here and then put some sort of audio in or before this section here, which is why I think it's safe to set it down for an evening and then re-look at it with fresh eyes, because quite often I'm able to see things that I would not in this semi-tired state of mind. It's day 2 now of this editing project, and I've dug through some of my crates and I found some vintage shots that I can use to sprinkle in through some of the voiceover sections I didn't have any direct visuals for. So now what I'm going to be doing is I am going to make it easy on myself, and I am going to make specific references to the script and look for shots that I know that will work, and then to copy and paste them just on top of that section of the voiceover, instead of continuing with this linear fashion where I'm trying to get everything absolutely perfect. I'm going to grab a bunch of clips and just sort of chuck them here just kind of randomly, so that I can manipulate how they are in time gradually, but I just want to fill this in with clips first, and then I can decide whether or not I want to keep them or not. But let's get a few extra seconds clips together here first.
Our highly skilled staff plan, design, and operate water treatment plants, ensuring that Durham tap water is among the very best.
So water shots. I got lots of water shots. So I'm gonna poke around in my B-roll bin here. I full screen that and then reveal everything. Water treatments, track 10. There's all my water treatment shots. So I'm going to build a little mini sequence just out of these clips alone. So even though I've gone through and done all my selects, that I have 22 shots of B-roll, I don't need all of them. So I might even do a second round of selects to build little mini sequences here. I'm going to do that in a similar way that I did at the beginning, where I'll just grab and then move clips up onto a different track so that I can distinguish them from the rest. So first my guy's he's gonna drive in here, and then he's gonna pull up in the van. Then pull the cover off. And pull up some water. I'll start with that. But with these clips that I've dragged onto a different timeline, I want to make sure they're back on my water treatment timeline. So I'm going to grab these clips, I'm going to hold Control down so I can do an insert edit, and then drop them all back on the same track, and then ripple delete these spaces away so that I have a beautiful 4-shot sequence here. He drives, he's finishing driving, well, manhole cover, he pulls the cover off, and then he puts water in there. So that's not a good cut right there. Those 2 shots are too close. So I need to go and find a shot of his face so that I can cut away from that action. I can steal a close-up of his face over here. There we go, that's the old face shot I need. That's just a better shot. That's a 2-in-1. So with that shot that I've just cut, I'm going to put my cursor in between these 2 clips. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to hold Shift, select all the tracks, and then continue holding Shift and deselect all my tracks. Then select video track 12, hold Control, Shift, and then V so I can paste that clip in between these 2 shots. And then the shot here, which I don't need, I'm going to cut and then put you back right around here. So Control, Shift, V. So I paste you and move all of my shots around it so I don't overlap anything. And then all these 4 shots get moved here and put on top of my waterfronts. So I'm going to continue along with this sort of a trends, trying to associate just the visuals I have with my scripts, not necessarily being mindful of the music too much at this point, just to populate this timeline with more shots. And then once I have enough shots in here, then I will pick back up and try to do the timing thing with the music. Now I've spent some time going through my water treatment plant visuals and have chosen 11 different shots here to build a little sequence of this dude going and checking on some water. And this all relates to this grouping of voiceover, but I don't have them positioned officially in the timeline yet because I just want to fill this with clips. So I'm going to continue on to the next section here, which I believe is talking about environmental conservation. And so I need to go and find visuals for those and keep moving on. I'm even going to bump these visuals just down a little bit, just so I can make myself some room, because I know I'm going to be copying and pasting these big chunks earlier into the sequence when I'm ready, after I finish going and getting these visuals. So some more B-roll shots to get. I've been able to find some of the B-roll shots associated with these 2 parts of the script fairly easily. One of them is talking about recycling and blue bin programs. So I have some shots building a quick little sequence of someone going and doing a house visit from the region, looking at the green bins. And then I have another part of the voiceover which is talking about energy conservation and being able to turn garbage into energy, real fancy stuff. So these were able to rip together fairly quickly because the script part was fairly short. 7 seconds long for this one, and probably about 10 seconds for this one, 13 seconds. So not too many shots I had to find, but I did do a lot of jumping back and forth between my B-roll sequence and the final video sequence as I was copying and pasting and moving clips back and forth, because some of my initial shots just didn't end up working out, so I had to do lots of back and forth to find the right progress of shots that matched the words that are in here. So I only have a few other voiceover sections that I need to associate with visuals. I just have 3 more kind of chunks here. And then after I find visuals that go with this one, and this one, then it's time for me to start condensing the timeline, bringing everything over to the left so that everything touches nicely. And that means that we are getting close to being able to actually watch this video. Now I'm pretty happy with the sequencing that I was able to put together for this section of the voiceover, as well as this section here with those visuals, those ones there, and that one there. So I just have a little gap to fill in with this little bit of voiceover here, and then some conclusion stuff here where I need some portrait shots, and then this is the final conclusion. You know, for the more information, let's go to this website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a solid, color solid. I'm going to make it white, call it white, and then throw it on top of that, again, so that I can put some temporary text on top of it. Website, make sure I can see it. Website. So that way I can still associate all these bricks sitting on my timeline here with progress. So now I just need to keep finding B-roll for these final bits of voiceover there, and then there, and after that, then I'm going to spend a little bit of time to close in all these gaps and make sure that the timing is smooth between these bits of voiceover. So I have all of the B-roll selected from my B-roll sequence placed onto my final video sequence. Visuals associated with my voiceover here. And so now I need to take all these collections of sections of the voiceover and put them together so that they flow nicely, because there's still lots of gaps in between everything. So I can drag some lassos around those things and hold shift and multi-select those. I can even right click and group these things so that I don't have to redo that lasso thing as I'm trying to move my clips over. So I feel it out naturally about when the next bit of voiceover should happen. So let's back up a little bit, play a little bit, and then find out when it should go in there.
Roads to keep you on the right path. Work staff are responsible for designing, building, and maintaining regional roads, bridges, and traffic signals to ensure residents can travel safely on foot, bicycle, transit, or car every day. This includes plowing and salting our regional roads.
So a little bit too long there of a pause, so I can squeeze this whole thing up there just a little bit. I do think it's okay to have a little bit of a space in between these two bits of voiceover, because we do need to give the audience a bit of time to pause.
Transit or car every day. This includes plowing and salting our regional roads, inspecting bridges, and building cycling lanes, as well as keeping the region's fleet running. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. So much of public works is hidden behind the scenes or even underground.
All right, that sounds all right. Let's grab this next big chunk here. Experiencing a little bit of lag. Damn you, OBS. Let's group you too. Group. And smash this over towards that.
Scenes or even underground. We provide clean, safe municipal drinking water. Our highly skilled staff plan, design, and operate water treatment.
Okay. I don't feel the need to watch this whole thing because I've been timing this section out as I was putting the B-roll in there, so I'm fairly confident in the timing of those cuts. Let's move over to our next little section here. Well, I'm going to keep working and eliminate all the gaps in between the voiceover here and see if I'm able to squeeze everything in before the song ends. But if not, I can do some duplication of the beats and then extend the song a little bit, but I might not have to, but I can certainly find out. Now I've taken all of the chunks and moved them closer together so that the audio from the voiceover flows pretty nice. You can see that I have put some spaces in between some of the reeds. That was necessary because some of the sequencing that I put together to associate with this B-roll with this audio needed to be a little bit longer to kind of cover everything that I wanted. So when I was picking B-roll clips and sticking them on top of these, I had a lot of them leaning over the left-hand side and leaning over the right-hand side of the length of the voiceover, and that was unnecessary. So when I was slotting everything in here, I made sure that I'm pacing everything nicely. So now that everything's in there, I am going to do a listen through. I know my computer's going to be lagging a little bit with the visuals, but that's okay because I'm just going to be listening mainly for the audio to know if I'm going to need to be moving anything around with the voiceover. You'll also notice that the B-roll audio track here is still muted, so I haven't done anything with the B-roll audio just yet. And that's going to be done after I am sure that this track here, audio track 2, is all lined up nicely and it sounds good. And then I'll play it in smaller chunks to make sure that the B-roll that I chose looks nice. And I can go back and forth between this sequence and my B-roll sequence just in case there are any other shots I want to replace. Because even though I have all the clips here already, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to keep every single one of them. So let's give her a listen and see how that audio sounds.
The Region of Durham Works Department provides essential services, many of which impact our daily lives. This is your Public Works Department.
Pause for the music there. You were lagging more than I thought you were going to.
We're part of your daily routine from that first cup of coffee to your commute around town. We build roads to keep you on the right path. Work staff building and maintaining regional roads.
Well, this is concerning.
Work staff are responsible for designing, building, and maintaining regional roads, bridges, and traffic signals to ensure residents can travel safely on foot, bicycle, transit, or car every day. This includes plowing and salting our regional roads, inspecting bridges, and building cycling lanes, as well as keeping the region's fleet running.
Okay, so that clearly isn't working. So because the computer's lagging for some bizarre reason, too many things open, or the just doesn't feel like acting properly right now. That sucks. I'm going to assume that everything is going to be playing smoothly with the voiceover, and so I'm going to move on to the. Oh god, now my phone's ringing. Now I'm going to unmute my B-roll audio track and then start playing around with this track in particular. In fact, I'm going to solo this track because I don't want it to interfere with the music or the voiceover, so that I can actually hear just what's going on with the background stuff. Turn you up a bit. So when I shoot with my GH5, slow motion stuff doesn't come with audio, so I need to add that in there. That's why I imported a sound effect, outside park. I'm going to grab somewhere in the middle of it here, just a tiny little portion, and then drag that down to the timeline here, because I don't want dead silence at the beginning of the video. I'm still going to turn it down, and then Control-Shift-D to put a transition at the beginning of it, so you come up all nice and smooth and stuff. Let's make you nice and long. And take you down too. So, and make sure that these audio clips don't turn on and off. I can do hold Alt and select these things. Control-Shift-D to throw across a constant power in between each of those clips. Then what do we got going on here? Even just by looking at these, I can see that I have some really quiet B-roll and some loud B-roll, so that's going to have to be kind of smoothed out. Looks like there's no audio associated with this. That's probably either a slow motion shot or just a very quiet section. So I'm just scrubbing through just to listen to the audio a little bit. So this woman who's talking is the same woman who's doing the voiceover, so that would sound confusing to be able to hear her clearly. So I'm going to turn that down as well. And these two bits of B-roll are kind of from the same thing, same section. So I'm going to hold Alt, click on that bit of B-roll, delete that, and then hold Alt again, and then extend this bit of B-roll so that I don't really need a cross dissolve between the two. I can just keep that one consistent sound. And since there isn't really any audio associated with this, what I can do is I can right-click on that, reveal in projects, and then find other clips around it, and then steal some of the B-roll that comes with those. So I can set I, and then O, and then grab just the audio portion of it, drag you down on top of that, and then overwrite you. Still take this down a little bit because I don't want it too loud. I just want it there so that I know that there's some sound. That is way too loud, so this has to come way down. I'll take you down to minus 15 or something. Same thing with this. Good. And take that down too. Although there's no voice happening at the same time here, so that gives me a bit more flexibility with this. So maybe I'll take this up just a little bit so we can get a bit more of a focus, since we're not really trying to hide it. The music still has the focus since the keyframes are up really high, set around minus or 0 dB. Not fighting with the voiceover here. Then we have a car drone shot. I'm going to need more sound effects for that. Go back into my ambient. City traffic. Yeah, I can take that. Copy. And paste you in my sound effects folder. Paste. And let's put you in the folder that I made for sound effects. SFX. Double click you. Grab somewhere in the middle here. Too big. It's my dog snoring. Yeah, definitely take this down. What I can also do, since I can see that there's some keyframing of the audio of the music to make room for the voiceover, I can do the same thing with this sound effect here. I'll hold Control and click, hold Control, click, and then have this come way down, bring you down to minus 26, and then start you at minus 29 or minus 12. And that's pretty quiet. Already don't need to take you down too much. So this is kind of a nice car sound effect there. But now I'll bring in a different sound effect to mask this bit of audio here. But you got to come way down, especially now because there's voiceover. So I need car sounds again. I use my city traffic sound effect again with a different in-out point. Lower you quite a bit. So this is interesting. So this is a graphic of cars. So I could keep this sound effect going here. See what that sounds like. I'll hold Alt and click that and delete you and extend you out there. And I'll unsolo this track so I can actually hear what it sounds like for real.
We build roads to keep you on the right path. Work staff are responsible for designing, building, and maintaining regional roads, bridges, and traffic signals.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I can hang on to that. Stick you down a little bit. take you down a little bit. Solo that track again. Alright, so there's a few clips here that don't have any B-roll audio. We got more of that city driving stuff. Double click on this again. Take a section from right there. Drag that down. I can even I can single click on this bit of city traffic if I want to copy and paste the volume that I've adjusted here. I can push Control C to copy the whole clip. Click on this and then push Control Shift V. Oops, wrong one. There's a Control Alt V. Yes, the paste attributes. And then I can hit OK, which lowers the volume to the same level that I had this one set it to. Pretty nifty. I'm going to use my City Park sound effects for this clip here. People just walking. In, out, drag, and drop. I still have that keyframe thing copied into my clipboard, so Control Alt V, Enter, drops that sound as well. Right, we got some distant cars in here. I'm just going to take the City Park audio here again. So I'm going to hold Alt, click, and drag, which will copy and paste that bit of audio for me. Alright, that's too loud. I gotta take you way down. And then right click, and then I'm gonna ungroup this because I don't need to be grouped anymore. Alt click, delete. Let's take right, that's city traffic. I'm gonna shorten you temporarily. Hold Alt, click, and drag. Still got that keyframe audio. No, that has to be lowered. So these 3 bits of audio are all from the same room here. So again, I'm going to hold Alt, drag a lasso around those 2 and delete those. And then hold Alt and then drag out this bit of audio here. Because it's a quiet working environment. I don't even need to lower that because that's pretty quiet as it is. More drone stuff. Grab that outside park. I'm Alt clicking and dragging quite a bit here to duplicate clips. What's this? Pulling that manhole cover off. Drop you a bit. Ungroup. And take that down. So that's totally got to come down. And so these 3 clips here all have that similar audio volume to them. So I'm going to copy that, hold Alt and click, and then hold Alt and then Shift, and then click so I can multi-select linked clips. Press Control Alt V to paste those attributes. And I'm going to do it for these as well. I'm holding Alt. I'm going to drag around that. Control Alt V. Enter. I hold Alt a lot. It is a lovely key. Alt. Oh no, I overwrit some of this. No worries. I'm going to push N and then, oh geez, N and then hold Alt like I do so I don't select the video part 2. Lower you, lower you, lower you a bit.
Hi, how are you? I'm with German Works Department.
Yeah, so we got a little bit of audio from that dude he's talking there. And since I can't see their faces in the next shot here, I'm going to hold Alt, click this, delete that, hold Alt, click and drag this out, so maybe I can get a bit more of his dialogue.
I'm with German Works Department, Waste Management Services.
Oh, that finishes so nicely. Waste Management Services. You gotta come down. That's screaming loud. You're totally coming down. Let's ungroup you. Let's save the work. Alright, lots of loud clips in here. So I'm going to take you down to 17. Control C, Alt, drag around that. Control Alt V. Control C, Control Alt V. Get more outdoor shots here. Throw some of that city park action. It's a city park. Outside park. Alt, click and drag. That's nice. Copy. Paste. Dang, these drone shots without their own audio. I feel like I can use the same bit of outside audio again and again and again because it really is just filler B-roll. Since we are hearing the person talk and we're hearing the music, it really is just the sound of the environment, just space, if you will. Not like spaces in outer space, but spaces in the area. I'm going to click and just drag this over so I can have that go all the way across that. Drag into my temp titles. Lower this. And then I'm going to hold Alt and drag a lasso around all those clips. And then push Control Shift D to throw a constant power in between all of them. So I get a nice smooth transition from every one of them. I'm also going to do those constant powers on each of these voiceovers. So I'm just clicking on them and then pressing Control Shift D. But make sure that it's not overlapping the beginning part of one of our words. Just want to have that room sounds turn on and off gradually, if there is any. Don't need that. So many of them. Holy cow, these alerts. I'm Canadian, these are Amber Alerts. Holy jeez. Alright, the audio is looking sweet. So now I can see that the song is a little bit longer than what I need. So I'm gonna solo the music track, and I just need to do some beat matching to make sure that the song rounds off shortly after the person talks. So I'm gonna find the last one beat of the song here. So that is the one beat. I'm going to see if I can find a well-positioned one beat in here in a convenient spot that I can put that cut on. There's the next one beat. Just a little bit longer than what I would have liked, so I can take this, I can delete that, and grab my end of the music here. So with that in mind, if that's the official length that I have right now, well, actually, that's not too bad, really. Because when I drag out this temporary thing that I have on there, I can see that it's 6 seconds. So that's probably a pretty good time to just sort of stare at that text. Even have it go a little bit longer there. Voila. So we have the audio essentially taken care of, and all the B-roll clips are there. There's no black spots or anything. The next is color correcting. Time to color correct. So I use the color tab here. I'm going to take my timeline here and kind of get rid of all the audio because I don't really care about the audio rights. And so I have some cool LUTs here that I had bought for my GH5. So I'm shooting on the Vlog there, set it to basics. And I definitely like color correcting with the Lumetri scopes up here. And after I apply my LUT there, I like playing with curves, and I don't click in the middle. I like clicking in the top and the bottom there, mainly because I'm just looking at the top and the bottom of these Lumetri scopes here. So I want to darken the darkest parts a little bit, so bring them down. So I'm going to grab this bottom part here and I'm going to drag you to the right a little bit, darken that, and then same thing with the highlights. I want to bring the highlights up a bit. They're only hitting about 80%. So I'm going to grab this and drag you up to the left there. Oh, I can see them getting crushed there at the top. Don't want that, so I'm going to back you off well before that. Oops. Wasn't looking at what I was doing. I'm going to set you around there. Glorious. So, just with this super basic correction here, I'm going to go to my effects controls. I'm going to hold Control C, my Lumetri controls. And then, oh geez, someone's at my door. Right, so you grab the Lumetri control, color corrector thing, Control C, and I'm going to click on this next clip here, Control V, a little quick little thing there. I'm going to do it for you too. That makes a big difference. And I'm going to just go through pasting these settings here. Oh, this is shot with the same thing. I can multi-select and then paste those. Those are cut from a different cloth, so they get a different color correcting thing. But I'm going to keep moving forward and pasting my settings so that I don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. You're different. You are the same. Paste you. Those clips are all from the same camera. Paste. And paste on you. That and that. Paste. Paste. Oop, they're back. Gotta go. So I went through and finished the color correcting for these clips, and everything seems to be fairly legit. Some things could be polished a little bit more. All that needs to happen now is the titling, which I have saved right until the end. All my placeholder stuff should be transformed into new stuff. Alright, the video is now complete. I went back and forth with the client a few times with some revisions, swapping out shots, and I was able to come to a finished product here. So some of the changes that I made to kind of spruce the last little bit up is when I changed the title to be at the beginning here, changed the font. They wanted some impact, yup, and I made this big and then made this smaller so it fits all nice. And then I keyframed the opacity and the Gaussian blur of the background video so that it darkens, so that the white text shows up a little bit easier. And then I nested two different graphic things here to animate in by themselves. And so when I'm doing that, I'm keyframing the motion, the position of the object, as well as the mask path at the same time. And so I use that trick a lot. I'm doing that a lot throughout the video here.
Provides essential.
Same thing with the lower third of Susan here. Same sort of a trick.
Essential services, many of which impact our daily.
So same font as impact as well. I did some shot juggling just based on some of the revisions that they gave me, but I was able to stick with the major bones of the video that I started out with. Some of those suggestions were cool. I ended up removing all the text from the middle of the video. They didn't like that. But I copied and pasted the nested sequence from the beginning of the video so that I could play it over top of these other clips here. So it's the same animation. And then they sent me this shot right at the end for me to use for, instead of the white backdrop, for the text.
Visit our website.
So I did the same trick where I darkened it, applied a Gaussian blur so that my text shows up over top of it. So a handful of nested sequence in here. So I have the end titles here, which are these groupings here. So 3 different layers. All applying that same basic position and mask keyframe thingy-jiggeroo. So same thing with the phone number and then those social media icons. So there you have it, a 2 minute and 16 corporate video that all in all probably took me 10 hours to do, maybe 8 hours, hard to say. Hope you enjoyed it.